Hello, everybody. Amber here. Welcome back to In Conversation with ATF, the podcast where I talk to all of your favorite musicians. Speaking of which, we've got a musician here today. Musicians, voice actors, historians, anyone really. My guest today is an absolute legend. You may be familiar with his musical work. He wrote the original score for films such as the 86 Transformers movie, Rocky 4, Staying Alive, and also video games such as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutants in Manhattan, Transformers Devastation, which I have a copy of in my cupboard down there, and Angry Birds Transformers. He's also composed music for the 86 movie, the stop motion, the little shorts that they had 5 years ago, that they screened, the ones that Flint Dille and Joe Trapman did. He composed music for one of the shorts. Specifically, who else had a Quintesson space loogie on their bingo card, which is a really good short. So we're going to talk a little bit about those stop motion shorts in this chat today. You may know him as, well, he created so many songs for the 86 movie: Autobot Decepticon Battle, Escape, Unicron Medley, Moonbase 2 Shuttle Launch, Megatron Must Be Stopped, Parts 1 and 2, and of course, The Death of Optimus Prime. Yes, that's a piece of music. He's also a Golden Globe Award nominee and a Golden Raspberry Award winner. My guest, and he's also going to be at TF Nation this year, the Hilton Birmingham Metropole, which we're also going to talk about today. My guest is the legendary, the man himself, the legendary, oh so awesome, Vince DiCola. Hi, Vince. How are you doing
Hi,
today?
wow, what an introduction that was. Fantastic. Thank you. I feel important.
You certainly are. There are a lot of people. Speaking of TF Nation, you are. Oh my goodness, the amount of when you posted on Facebook or when your manager did, and you said you were doing stuff for the 40th anniversary of the movie. So many people were saying, "Please come to the UK. Please do TF Nation," and they announced you. And we've got to talk about this first because I love interviewing people who are going to TF Nation so we can
Okay,
talk about it because it is one of my favorite events
great.
of all time. It's like Christmas come early. I absolutely love it. Um, but you've got quite a treat in store for us at TF Nation. You're doing your very own concert at
I am.
ClubCon. Now that's
Yes.
it's going to be exciting. I've just to remind everyone at home, TF Nation is happening at the Hilton Birmingham Metropole from the 31st of July to the 2nd of August this year. This is not a paid advertisement. I'm simply just promoting this because it's literally, as I said before, Christmas come early. I love it. I love getting together with everyone. I love meeting everyone. Of course, Vince is going to be a guest there. Scott Brownlee, Darren Norris, James Alexander, and Jessica Carroll of Transformers Cyberworld. We're going to have some fun. We're going to have a party. I can tell you that for sure. So, with that being said, with that out of the way, oh, God, I'm so excited for July. I really am. Vince, tell me more about yourself. I'd love to know how you started out as a musician. Now, of course, I did my homework and you started out in the early 80s. But what was it that got you into music? Do you have any specific musical influences? Did you always want to be a musician? How did it all
Wow,
start for you?
that's a lot of questions.
How did you start your career?
Um, I lived in in the East Coast,
Mm-hmm.
grew up in the East Coast, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and I was in various cover bands back there, and I really enjoyed that time. I miss that actually. Um, in around 1980, I thought, well, I with the advice of a good friend, I thought maybe I should move to an area where the music is more prevalent. And
Mm-hmm.
at that time, there were only three places. It was LA, Nashville, or New York. And being that most of the music that I was listening to came out of LA, I chose LA. So my wife and I got married on May 23rd, 1981, and a week later, we drove out to California.
Wow.
And my thought was I was going to be trying to get into the LA session musician scene. I had no thought at all of composing.
Yes.
And I hadn't really composed anything up to that point. uh, and one of the first connections I made, well, I'll tell you how it happened. I was playing in a cover band in Los Angeles, actually. And it was an off night, and I noticed the gentleman come into the club, and he looked familiar. He came and he sat down at a table right in front of me. I thought, wow, this is interesting. he looked very familiar. And on a break, he approached me and introduced himself as Frank Stallone. And I thought, that's why he looks familiar. He
Ooh.
looks very much like his brother. And long story short, Frank was looking for a keyboard player to accompany him around the club scene in LA. And he chose me. And that's how I got into the LA music scene. Still, I was just basically a sideman to Frank at that point. There was no thought of composing. And I love telling this story because this was exactly how it happened. It was um, we were rehearsing on the what lot movie MGM lot in Culver City.
Hmm.
His brother had arranged for us to rehearse in a soundstage, and it was really cool. Every day we got to drive on the set of, countless movies and TV shows.
Hmm.
And we had a little soundstage that we recorded in. And one day we were rehearsing. At this point, we had a band, I think a five-member band, and his brother showed up with his entourage and unannounced. We didn't know anything, and I had never met him previously.
Hmm.
Uh, and it has to be said, I did not. I was very careful not to use Frank Stallone as a stepping stone to his brother. I really thought that Frank had his own talent in his own right, and I
Yeah.
loved playing. I loved playing with him. I loved his songs. So here it was, his brother finally. I get to meet him, and Frank introduced everybody in the band to him, and we shook hands. Very nice guy. And we took a break, and I saw Frank and Sly go off into a corner, and they were very heavy into some discussion about something. And I was very curious. And after they had that discussion, we came back and started to rehearse again and said goodbye to Sly and his entourage. And it was very nice and very cordial, very polite guy. Um, and after the rehearsal was done, Frank asked me to stay after everybody left. And I said, yeah, I would love to. And he said, well, I want to tell you about something. He said, my brother told me just today that he had just signed on to write and direct a sequel to Saturday Night Fever. It's going to be called Staying Alive. And he told me that I'm welcome to submit material,
Hmm.
but keep in mind that he can't show any favoritism to his brother. So, Sly couldn't guarantee Frank that he was going to get a song in the movie just because he was his brother. But he said, I will guarantee that we will listen to it. There will be a committee of musicians and, I'm sorry, a committee of film people that will listen to the music. I can guarantee you that much. And what their response is going to be, I don't know. Frank asked me if I wanted to compose a song with him. And it was on the tip of my tongue to say, "Hey, Frank, I've never done that." But thankfully, my brain kicked in and I said, "Yeah, I'd love to do that." And long story short, we went into a studio in LA. It was my first time into a professional studio, and we recorded five songs. And let's see, Frank said, "Okay, I'm going to take these songs over to my brother that night, and I'll let you know what he says." And I said, "Well, this is all surreal to me anyway. Here I am writing a song with Sylvester Stallone's brother for Sylvester Stallone to hear. So it was very, very
Yeah.
surreal, very, very cool, but surreal.
Yeah. Living
Anyway,
the
Frank,
dream.
yeah, it was. And Frank called me up that night, and this is the funny part of the story. He said, "Well, I hate to tell you, but my brother hated all five songs, not just thought that they were wrong for the movie, he hated them." I said, "Oh man, that's a very big disappointment." He says, "Yeah, I know." He said, "I'm sorry, we were close, and it was a very nice opportunity. We did our best, but just didn't hit my brother." And a couple days later, I thought that was it. A couple days later, Frank called back and he said, "Listen, would you want to give it one more try?" He said, "On an afternoon that you have nothing better to do, let me come over. I'll bring my guitar. We'll sit in your garage." At the time, I was in a house that had a garage with some studio equipment and some keyboard equipment. He said, "We'll sit there and we'll work out an idea." And he said, "I have an idea in mind, not musical, but thematic. And he said it has to be a quick tempo, like something like this. It has to be rock and roll.
Hmm.
It has to have some theatrical elements to it. So he said, given that, Vince, I just want you to play. I'm not going to play any acoustic guitar because it's not going to be an acoustic guitar song. So just start playing with those parameters in mind, and I'll stop you if we come to something interesting.
Hmm.
So again, long story short, 30 minutes later, we had the outline of a song. We had a verse and a chorus and an intro and a bridge. And being that we had recorded the previous five songs in a professional studio, I was really worried when Frank said, I'm going to take this tape. Now, it was on a boom box. It was a cassette tape that had been recorded. We recorded this idea on a boom box. He says, I'm going to take this tape right over to my brother. I begged Frank not to do that. I said, let's go into the studio and record it professionally so we can have the best presentation possible. And Frank says, no, I'm kind of out of money after the first recording, so we're going to have to settle for this. So I was of course waiting on pins and needles. I didn't have my hopes up based on the reaction to the first five songs. But that night, I took my wife out to dinner. We came home and we had this little AT&T answering machine, and it had a little light saying that there was a message on the machine. I thought,
Oh.
said to my wife, I said, I don't want to hear that. I know what it's going to say, what whoever it's going to be is going to say. And she says, well, what if it's somebody from back east and it's an emergency, family emergency? I said, yeah, okay. So she went over and pressed play, and the voice came out saying, home run, Vinny. I can't wait to hear the song when it's done. And it was Sly. It was Sylvester Stallone. And that song went on to be Far From Over. And that saved
Nice.
our butts, so to speak. Not only did he love that song and picked it for like the theme song, even over the Bee Gees material, he loved the song. Well, he went back and took the previous five songs into the movie the songs that he had rejected, he took them into the movie. I have no idea how that happened so quickly, except I do know that this is how it can happen sometimes in LA and in the music business, entertainment business, actually. One song changed the whole picture for him. So we ended up having, well, we had six songs at that point in the movie, and he asked us to write a seventh, a ballad, which we did, and that became Never Gonna Give You Up, which was a ballad that Frank sang with the female lead of the movie, Cynthia Rhodes. And that was Far From Over actually made it into the top 10. Never Gonna
Wow.
Give You Up made it into the top 40, but not as high as Far From Over. And Far From Over did so well. In fact, at one point, my manager called me and he said, I was told that ticket sales by the time our single had come out, it was after the Bee Gees. They released some Bee Gees material first, which I understood. Connection to the first movie and everything. I understood that. Well, they released ours about, I don't know, a month or two after the film came out. And my manager said that he was told that once our song came out on the radio, ticket sales for the movie actually picked up again. And so our song was actually pushing promotion for the movie.
Nice.
That's the story of Far From Home. That's the story of how I got into the film music business in LA, having never been prepared to do any composing work. I was just looking to be a musician, and that's often how things happen in the entertainment industry. So there's my big story.
Well, isn't that wonderful? That's a lovely story. I love that. Now, I've got to ask, are you still in touch with the Stallones?
No, it's been a long time. Uh, we kind of, I mean, Frank and I, we were actually doing a lot of things together for a while. In fact, after Staying Alive, Frank did a solo album, and he
Oh,
asked me,
okay.
he asked me to co-produce with him, and he asked me to uh, write some songs with him,
Mhm.
and we did, and that album came out. It was great. Uh, I never actually heard whether Sylvester Stallone liked what I did for Rocky Four, um,
Mm.
but I expected he did like it because it came out and he used my music, and thankfully. But no, I kind of grew away from. I guess that's not the right way to say, but I grew apart from Frank musically. He wanted to go more
Yeah.
into the song direction, and I wanted to go more into the score direction. So um, meeting Frank actually led me to the opportunity to be considered to score the movie Rocky Four. And I'm giving a long answer to this.
No, it's all right. Don't worry. I
The,
love it.
the-
I love it, mate. Listen to stories. Go
oh,
for
I'm
it.
sorry, that's my phone. Let me cut that off.
It's all right.
Um,
As I said, go for it. Go for
yeah,
it.
I don't know. I'm fine. Sorry about that.
No, it's all
Uh,
right. Don't worry.
but yeah, we grew apart. The Stallones and I just grew out of touch with each other. It wasn't any one thing. It wasn't like a breakup or anything like
Yeah.
that. Just we drifted
It just
apart.
happens. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've done it with a lot of people, and
yeah,
it just naturally happens. You just sort of kind of stop talking to each other, and then it just sort of goes from there. And then you're like, oh, hi, I've not talked to you in 4 years. But you're still like, it's weird because like I'm still friends with people on Facebook who I've not talked to in a good few years, and it's kind of
sure.
weird. But you just don't really, you're sort of like there, but you don't actually break the chain. It's
That's
kind of
right.
weird, but
That's right.
yeah, it happens. Yes.
And I
So
will say, I want to add one thing. I
mhm.
am grateful to the Stallone brothers because without them, I wouldn't have gotten into this film business in
No,
LA.
not
So
at
I'm
all.
grateful. They know that I'm grateful for that. Anyway,
100%.
yeah.
100%. Now, I want to know how you got on board with the 1986 Transformers, or should I say the Transformers, the movie.
Yeah.
Did that spin out from working with the Stallone brothers, or was this just on its own accord?
It did spin out from Rocky Four.
Oh, okay. So the Stallone
Six,
brothers literally just thinged your career. Sorry, I've got a pen in me and I didn't realize.
yeah. Hey, nice.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
wicked pen. I was just like,
that's funny. 6 months after I did Rocky Four, the producers of the Transformers, the movie, approached me about
uh-huh.
their movie. And this was the producers. This usually it's the director that approaches a composer, but in this instance, sometimes it is the producers, and you don't even see the director. You don't even talk to the director,
Yeah.
which was the case in this. So they explained this movie to me, and they said, have you ever worked with storyboards, which was the only thing that they had for me to write to at that point. They didn't have any live picture. So they had these
Mhm.
things called storyboards. And even though I had never worked with storyboards before, I said, "Oh yeah, I'm familiar with that," to get the gig. And they said, "Well, this is going to be." They laid out the story. I had no knowledge of Transformers going into this meeting. I mean, I didn't know anything about the toys, the
Yeah.
company, the TV show.
That was relatively new. Yeah, it was sort of
And I
about.
told them that I was very honest with them, and they said, "That's fine because you're coming in with a fresh approach, and we like that."
Yeah.
So they asked me to write one piece of music as a sort of a demo, an audition. And I wrote a piece that ended up being called Legacy, 6-minute instrumental piece. And it had an antagonist, a protagonist theme. It had some battle music in it, some heroic music, some war music, and then peace after the war. It was like it told a story. And
Mm-hmm.
and I played it for them, and they loved it. They gave me the gig based on that song. Oddly enough, nothing from that song ended up being used in the movie, but it was
Oh,
a great song, and it was great in that it got me the job.
was it not
So,
on the soundtrack at all, or no?
no, it's been on some releases after that, some Transformers related releases. In fact, there was a company called Entrada. You can check this out. They released the score to Transformers the
Mm-hmm.
movie. I believe they put Legacy
Ah,
on, if I'm not sure.
yes, I've just seen. Yes, I think, and they're doing a for the 40th anniversary, they're doing a Rain in Phoenix Music are doing the reformatter edition vinyl of the 86 movie soundtrack. Have you heard about this?
I'm involved in it, and I'll tell you
Oh,
about
you
that.
are involved in it. Okay, that's awesome. Then I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm very glad. Well, they're doing a lot for the 86 movie this year, of course. They're re-releasing it in cinemas this September. I think it might be coming to the UK. I'm not entirely sure, but someone did say, yeah, maybe. Of course, you've got the events, the Transformers conventions all around the world. I'm still looking at this post. They're doing it on cassette. They're doing a cassette version. They're doing.
Unbelievable.
I love the t-shirt though. I would get the t-shirt. That looks
Oh
so
yeah.
cool.
Oh yeah.
CD. You've got yeah, you got CD, vinyl, a T-shirt, uh, and then also cassette as well, which is a quite I think it's cassette. I don't know. And also you got streaming, of course, which
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
I wonder
Yeah, it's
what the
funny.
oh there is an EU. Okay, we are getting it in Europe. Okay, phew.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
we're all right.
Cassettes are coming back. It's odd, but hey,
Yeah. Yeah, well, obviously you were involved with the 35th anniversary celebrations a few years ago, which is what I would like to quickly touch down with,
okay.
touch on with you about. I don't know what the phrase is. I don't is that I don't know if it's like yeah, I'd like want to touch down. Yeah, a touchdown on the subject. Okay,
Good.
so for those of you at home who are not aware, a few years ago for the 35th anniversary of the 86 movie, there were a few stop motion shorts that were screened before the actual theatrical releases in the States, and then they were released into the Hasbro Pulse channel. They were written by Flint Dille and Joe Troutman, and they starred the voices of course, Greg Berger, John Machita, Stan Bush was in it, and just multiple people that Flint and Joe knew. And also, they brought Vince on to do a song as well. And apparently, you were approached to voice act in it, but you turned it down.
I don't remember that, and I probably would have turned it
I'm
down,
just
but
getting this off the TF
yeah,
wiki. Don't worry.
don't know about that one.
Yeah, that's so cool. So, what was it like working on composing the music for that one Quintesson loogie short, or as
It,
it's
it was
actually
it was
called?
great. It was the first time that I met Flint. I had known Joe Troutman because we
Yeah,
had
he's
played
been in the music business for a good
and
few years.
we had played at his club in San Diego. It's called Brick by Brick, and
Yes.
we actually did a concert there. So I knew Joe, but I didn't know Flint. And just sitting in the studio, it was my partner Kenny's studio in Burbank, and just sitting there listening to the stories that everybody's telling, it was awesome. I mean, Flint is such a great speaker and great storyteller. So and all the voice actors from meeting them from my very first convention in 1997 in Rochester, New York. I had gotten to know some of these voice actors, and they're just the greatest guys. And you never know what voices are going to come out, in a meeting or in a studio. So we had a blast, and yeah, we were there for a good afternoon, and we did a lot of stuff, and it came out, and people loved it.
That's awesome. Did you get to go to the premiere of the 35th
I
anniversary thing? You
did,
did get to go. Oh, that's good.
absolutely.
I'm glad. I'm glad. That is so cool. And one of my questions to you was going to be: have you met any voice actors from the '86 movie? Or of course, you've met Greg and John. Have you met anybody else? Have you met Peter Cullen and Frank Welker? I'm presuming the only time you
I have.
probably will have
I
met
would
these is
I
on the
would have loved to have met Frank
conventions.
Walker, and didn't get a chance to do that.
They should
Um,
have let you. They should have let you meet them at the Los Angeles, the Burbank one in March. They should have.
well,
Yeah,
keep in mind that the crowds are unbelievable at these things, and to work myself over to another table, especially
yeah.
his table, it just didn't work out.
I
But
suppose.
I'm sure one day we're gonna meet. But yeah, I
Yeah,
love the voice actors. I love hanging out with them.
you can get green room access. Not a lot of people can. Only the guests get green room access. So you could have bumped into him there. I don't know, but yeah, honestly, it's so it's so cool. That's really cool. And as I said, the only time you probably would have met them is on the con circuit, which is exactly what I was going to talk to you about. Of course, you're doing TF Nation. You did TF Con. Are you doing any more events this year, Comic Con wise? Are you doing the one in
Um,
Toronto? Are you doing BotchCon?
There might be the Toronto one. We haven't been officially invited yet, but every year, um, Connor, I believe, is the guy that puts this all together. He asks us to go. Colin, I'm sorry. Sorry,
Colin,
Colin.
yes. It's
Um,
all good.
and he invites us to a lot of these, and we love my manager Peter and I go to these things, and it's great meeting fans,
Yeah,
new fans every year. The people that grew up with Transformers now have their own children, and the children like
yeah.
to get involved and listen to the music. So yeah, I think we might be going to Toronto. Not sure, but
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. And what I find really unique, going back to TF Nation, is of course the little set that you're doing at ClubCon, which you honestly you wouldn't think that that's something you would do at a convention, but TFCon is really unique because their con doesn't just end at like 5, 6 o'clock. It goes on until the evening. You've got the evening entertainment because it's in a hotel and stuff like that. And it's so magical. Every year they do ClubCon and stuff like that. And they just do new things each year. And I'm literally just reading the article now. As soon as it was like, oh yeah, he's performing a set, I'm like, I of course I've gotten my tickets for it, of course. But that
Right.
is so cool. Like, of course, on Sunday you're doing your panel where you talk about your career, just like you're doing here now, actually.
Yep.
But you're actually performing for the first time in the UK, according to
Yes.
the website, a live musical performance, first ever live performance of your music in the UK after the ClubCon segment, which is about 9 p.m., 10 p.m. at night. No, it's
No
9
idea.
p.m.
I'll show up when they tell me to show up.
But that's so cool. It is so cool, so cool.
I'm
Are you?
very much looking forward
I
to it.
was gonna ask, are you looking forward to it? I was gonna say, as you
Absolutely.
said, you've never been to my side of the world before, so to meet all the British fans. I mean, yes, we did get the movie. Of course, we got it with a few tweaks. The intro was like a Star Wars styled intro, narrated by Victor Caroli. Of course, Spike swearing was cut out from the UK version, so we got it rated. What's the rate? What's the equivalent to U? A U rating in the US. I know,
I
obviously, it
don't
was
know. I
like,
never heard of that.
is it? Well, you've got PG-13 in the US, haven't you?
It might
That's
be
what it
that.
was rated because of the swearing.
Right.
I've got a sort of universal rating in US. Motion a G, a G.
Oh,
So
gee,
in
general
the
general
UK
audience.
it was rated a G because well they
Okay,
wanted it that, so the only way they could achieve that was by removing the swear word. So
gotcha.
yeah. Of course, we still got Optimus Prime dying though, and that traumatized a bunch of British children. But we don't really talk about that.
Right.
But yeah, most people probably I can just picture coming up to your table and just mentioning that one Death of Optimus Prime song that will be yeah,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
can just see it, and just honestly, it would just be so good to meet you because I have not managed to meet you at the past TF cons. So to meet
Uh,
you in person would be absolute delight.
well, we'll make that happen.
Yes, definitely. So Vince, I find really interesting, as you said about the storyboards before. You did the music for the film, the '86 film, just by looking at the storyboards. You didn't look at any of the finished product. That's just pure talent. So what exactly goes into writing a song when you're tasked to write a song for anything? How do you go about it if
You
it's
know,
not through storyboards?
it was very, very challenging for me. Again, storyboards are they're not picture. They're not the same as picture, and it's always a composer always wants to write to picture.
Yeah,
I had no experience writing to storyboards, even though I told them I did.
yeah.
Uh, so I remember just feeling, frustrated. The first part of this. Not Here's another thing. For Rocky Four, I had been given 3 months to write 67 minutes of music. No, that's not true. 37 minutes of music. For Transformers, I was only given 6 weeks to write
Oh,
70 and write and submit 70 minutes. So it was pressure. I wasn't familiar with storyboards and I had such a short time to do all this. Uh, Honestly, I did the best I could. I'm frankly surprised that it ended up being effective for their movie. And when I finally saw it with the picture, I had a great music editor, my partner from Lake Charles, Louisiana. His name is Ed Frugier. So every time I would finish a piece, I would send it to Ed. He was on working with the film music editor. And Ed's job was to make sure that whatever cuts they had to make were as musical as possible instead of just, jumping around. So the score that I saw when I finally saw the movie is quite different from how I wrote it. But all my themes were there. And, I was very pleased with how everything turned out.
Great. That is awesome. I'm so pleased for you. Like, it's just, I need to get, I have it on my Apple Music, the soundtrack, but I don't have it like physically. I want to try and get it on vinyl because we have a vinyl player downstairs. Maybe you could sign my vinyl at TF Nation.
Ah, there you go.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say, I'm not sure when the one that was telling you about before the 40th anniversary of vinyl. I'm not sure when that's coming out. I don't think it will be before TF Nation because I can't see it coming out in the next. I think it's coming out maybe later this year, probably. I don't know.
I think it's coming out in July, actually. I just
Okay,
saw it.
okay.
Yeah, I
Well,
think.
I can order it and hopefully it comes in time for TF Nation. There will be a lot of people, trust
Yeah.
me, bringing their DVDs, their vinyls, their CDs, everything in between.
Great, great, great.
Just to prepare you for that. This might be a bit of a hard question for you.
Uh-oh.
So I just think a little bit carefully about this one. Who is your favorite Transformer character? Who's your favorite Transformer,
Hmm.
if you have one?
I have to say, Unicron, believe it or not.
Hey,
I love how the movie opened, and I love the fact that it's Orson Welles' voice. And
yes,
yeah, I think old Unicron is my favorite.
that's a good choice. I'm sure you probably heard all the stories about Orson Welles coming in, the whole carrying his just dogs and stuff, and I think he was in a wheelchair or something. But it was Wally Burr and Scott Brownlee who were present with him at the recording session
Oh,
for
wow.
when he did his lines,
Wow.
and his voice was so processed for the movie that you couldn't really recognize it because apparently he was in poor health and just the way he sort of thinged his lines, they had to be edited for the film. But at least that's where the age old rumor that Wally Burr killed Orson Welles comes from. So we can kind of thank the session for that. But yeah, that is an interesting story. I think you and Scott would get along really. I'll have to introduce you to him at TF Nation.
Yeah,
That would be
please
really
do.
cool. Of
Please
course I
do.
will. Yeah. This is so exciting. I mean, I am cosplaying at TF Nation this year. I am going as a 1986 movie character.
Oh my gosh.
Going as everyone's favorite character, Daniel Witwicky.
Oh boy, what a name.
Yeah.
That's a great.
Not the exosuit version though, the actual plain human suit. I did it for I was there at TF. Yeah, I did it on the Saturday and you were there on the Sunday. I was in known clothes
Oh,
Sunday, so you
cool.
haven't seen it in person. But I am making a few modifications to it, so I will be walking around on the Saturday and you will recognize me when you see me.
Oh, okay. You'll have to tell me who you are.
Course I will. Of course I will. Which brings me on to my next question actually, regarding the '86 movie. It is if you could make if you could have made another song for the film, what would it have been and why? Was there any songs that you made that were cut from the movie aside from Legacy?
Well, we did a version with Stan of the More
Oh
Than Meets
yeah,
the Eye,
the
but
theme, the alternate version. I've not heard that. I don't think.
it's really good. And I mean, I loved what they did in the movie. It was what was the group that played that? Lion.
Lion.
And it was great. But we they gave us the opportunity to do our own version. They didn't use it, but that's okay. But it's been out on various releases, and Stan really sang it well. It was just great job as he always does. And I was given free rein to arrange it and produce it the way I wanted to. So we did a great arrangement of that. Other songs, we wrote a song called No Mercy, and I think No Mercy is on the Protoform Session CD. It was a
What's up
release.
now? Transformers Protoforms CD.
You can find it.
Yes, Vince DiCola presents the Protoform sessions. Here we are.
And there's a song on there called No Mercy, and it was
Yep, there it is.
sung by a friend of mine, Gary Falcone, and did a great job. I'm not sure. It was written, I wrote it with the same guy I wrote Dare with, Scott Shelley.
Scott Shelley.
Yeah.
Yes.
He wrote the words and I wrote the music. And I can't remember if we even submitted it. It was written for the movie, but I don't know. I don't remember what happened.
There's a lot though, because you've got it says Transformers the movie title theme Ed
Ed
Fruge
Bruget,
version.
that's the
Then
same
you got
guy.
the Gary Falcone version,
Yep,
that Gary Falcone version of Dare. You got the demo for Escape, and then apparently there's a bonus recording is included further down the final track, which is the training montage from Rocky Four.
really. I didn't know.
apparently,
I didn't remember
apparently,
that.
apparently, just I'm just going off what the wiki says. So I mean, I would like to What is this BotCon 97 concert? I love how there's rehearsal versions from BotCon 1997. That's really cool.
Hmm.
That's really cool.
Well,
Yeah.
that was my first convention that I attended,
Oh wow. Oh
and
wow. Oh,
I'll
Stan
tell
was
you a
there
funny
as
story
well.
about that.
Oh yeah.
Stan and I were invited together to go to this convention, and we were asked to perform at the convention.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Stan was like me. We didn't know much about Transformers before this. In fact, this was 1997. The movie came out in 1986, and I was approached by the organizer of BotCon in 1996, 10 years later, and he said, "We want you to come to a convention." I said, "For what?" I really did not know. Once I did the movie and it came out, and unfortunately it went out of the theaters pretty quick. I won't say I forgot about it, but it drifted into the background with all the other
Yeah,
projects that I was doing. So he says, "Yeah," he said, this movie, I don't know if you realize it's really reached a cult following." And I said, "I had no idea." And he said, "And your score has reached a big fan base." So he says, "I want you and Stan to come and perform." So Stan and I flew out from Burbank, California, and we landed in Rochester and approached, I remember this clearly, approached the hotel where the convention was being held. And we saw this
hmm
line. We saw this line going out the door, front door, around the block, two blocks or something. And when we got inside and we met Glenn Hout, who was the organizer for the event, uh, we 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 complimented Glenn by saying, "Hey, it looks like this is a well-attended convention. Congratulations." And he said, "Oh, you're talking about the line that's going out the door." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, that's for you and Stan only." And I said, again, it was surreal. Uh, from that point on, it was like, you've got to be kidding me. I felt like I landed on Stan and I both felt like we landed on a different planet. Uh, and what I felt and what I still feel is the fans at Transformers at these conventions are the nicest people. Absolutely.
definitely.
I love them. And I get to meet new ones every year, new fans every year. And that was the first thing that struck me is that they made me feel so welcome from the very beginning. So
Oh
yeah, it was a special experience for us. So yeah,
yeah.
got to perform. It was just Stan and I had a keyboard player, Derek Hilland, who is an amazing keyboard player, friend of mine. And I talked him into being a part of this. So it was the three of us, two keyboard players and Stan. And we did music from the movie. Stan did some music from commercials that he had been working with. Uh,
I think one of them might have been Freddy Freaker, the Freak Phone
yes,
commercial.
I think that was
You
one.
know of it. You know about. Okay.
Yep, yep.
That's what he got.
And I also did some music from Rocky Four at that performance. So,
Yeah,
and you know, you said one thing earlier that is, I'm really appreciative of the fact that the fans of Transformers also love my work for Rocky Four. And usually, if I do music from Rocky Four, I'm worried about, well, it's not Transformers, but the fans love it just as much as the stuff that I did for Transformers. So I've
yeah.
lucked out with that.
I'm just listening to something real quick. Is that what I think it is? I'm just listening. There's no sound on this video. The video I have quickly decided to listen to has absolutely no sound. There is nothing. I just need
Uh-oh.
to listen to something real quick because
Sure.
I was thinking about the training montage from Rocky Four. I was like, is this the song that I is this what I think it is? Is this the song that I think it is? It might be. If the video decides to load. Here we go. Uh-huh. Why is there no sound? I have no
Uh,
idea.
Technical
So,
difficulties.
so I'm just gonna ask you instead, and I apologize if this sounds a little bit awkward. But is the training montage song that song, or is it the theme song that goes like do 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 do?
No, that's called Gonna Fly Now. That's
I
the Rocky.
knew it. Yeah, I thought I was like, that's not. It's not training montage.
Right, right. That's the theme from the very first movie.
I have
And
never seen any of the Rocky films. I do
oh,
apologize. I'm
okay.
very
Okay.
uneducated.
Yeah. So no, training montage was the theme of Rocky Four.
Ah, right. I see. That's just me being absolutely clueless. I mean, I'm trying to get the sound to work on my computer, but I'm playing videos and it's just absolutely silent. I'm thinking, don't do this to me. Please
Oh
don't do
boy,
this to me.
it's always something with
I know.
computers. It's
Yeah.
always something.
So when did you meet Stan? I presume it was when you were working on the 86 film.
When did I meet Stallone? Are you asking?
Stan Bush.
Oh, Stan, I'm sorry.
That's okay, don't worry.
Actually, I knew Stan from years before that because Stan
Oh.
started out as a session singer in Los Angeles. So he would come and
Oh.
sing on some demos for me that had nothing to do with Transformers, way before we did Transformers.
Yeah.
So I had already gotten to know Stan and got on very well with him personally and musically. So coming into it with Stan was it was a help because if I had done it by myself and attended that convention by myself, I think I would have been even more uncomfortable than I was. But having Stan there helped. And yeah, we did a lot of work before that together.
That's awesome. And I've just realized that Peter Cullen was actually at BotCon 1997 as well with you and Stan, which
Yes,
is quite cool. It's so
yes.
interesting because it says like Frank Welker was supposed to attend along with Sue Blue and Gary Chalk. I know David Kay and Venus Terzo were there, but can you imagine like with all them and you and you've got Simon Furman who will be at TF Nation. Take a shot every time I mention TF Nation in the video. So yeah, I mean that would have
I,
been a party.
I love Simon. I know Simon
Oh, you
from,
know Simon.
I love him.
Oh, awesome. Oh, that's
Yeah,
so cool.
I'm gonna be happy to see him again.
He's at every TF Nation. I saw him back in March at the mini con. They did in Manchester. And here's me. I'm having a look on my phone.
Also Andrew Wildman. He was
Andrew, yes, they do
yeah,
podcasts together. I think that, yeah, they
I
do.
love both of those guys. They pal around together, and I'm looking forward to seeing both of them.
Yeah, they do a podcast. The rest is giant robots. I think I went to one of their live podcast things at a previous TF Nation, which was quite fun for them to record. Here it is, the
Right.
training montage. Oh, I see. Okay. Does sound like something that would be in the Transformers movie. So
Yeah,
far, what I'm hearing.
yeah,
Like if
yeah.
it's Optimus getting ready to fight, like I don't know, they go in. You go into a gym on the Ark, and there's Optimus Prime punching a metal beanbag, and then you've got Cup who walks in. It could be like something from the scene like that where Optimus is
Sure,
training for this fight with Megatron.
sure, absolutely.
I love it. I love it, Lee. Honestly. Now here's another deep cut, just like Freddy Freaker. Now you have been really influenced by the Beatles, and you actually did two tribute items to the Beatles, or albums, should I say? Artfully Beatles and Artistically Beatles. Now, I've
Yeah.
got to ask about those items. Now, of course, items, they're more albums, I suppose. But yeah, I live near Liverpool, so I've got to ask about the Beatles. You know,
Oh,
it's so weird because I'm so local to Liverpool, and you see like the Beatles Story Museum, all these tourists, and like even when the Comic Con's on, all these American actors. Oh my god, I'm going to the Beatles story. I'm going on the Magical Mystery Tour to the actual Penny Lane and to
oh.
John Lennon's house and stuff. I'm like, it's just over the river from me. It's not really. I only just go for the shops.
Jeez. Well, that's one of the things I want to see when I get there. Being a Beatles fan, I would love to see something Beatles related when I come.
Yes, I
Yeah.
like come to Liverpool. I'll bring up to Liverpool.
Okay. All right.
I'm down for it. Awesome. Yeah, but honestly, yeah, tell me more about your love for the Beatles.
Like so many musicians, grew up listening to them, and uh, I was approached by a gentleman named Roger Voudouris. I can't remember
Mm-hmm.
who this was. Roger actually was an artist that had a hit in the 70s called Get Used to It. And Roger was starting a company called Artful Balance. And the first thing he asked me to do was a solo piano record for the label, which
Mm-hmm.
I did. And it's been re-released by my manager's company. Um, and uh, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Roger approached me first to do the solo piano album, and as a result of that, he said, "I'm going to do a Beatles tribute album, and it's going to be all the artists that are on the label.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to contribute some material?" I said, "Absolutely." So I ended up with my friend Casey Young. We
Mm-hmm.
worked on this together. I ended up doing Let It Be, Lucy in the Sky, The big one was Day in the Life. That was the big arrangement that I did that I really feel proud of. Um, and I did a solo piano version of Yesterday. So there were four pieces on that on that album. And then a couple of years later, had nothing to do with Artful Balance, but Roger was involved. He said, "We're going to do another record, and it's going to be called Artfully Beatles this time."
Oh,
Sorry, Artistically Beatles.
artistically.
And I get the names mixed up.
That's all right,
And
don't worry. All good.
I ended up doing a whole record of Beatles material. And that was me by myself at that point. And yeah, I can't remember when I didn't know of the Beatles, to be honest with you. And that was a very big influence. And I loved how they progressed from the simplest music to the most, not complex, but big productions
Yeah.
and beautiful, beautiful writing. I know that George Martin had a lot to do with the sound of the Beatles. Anyway, yes, I love the Beatles. I grew up listening to them. Um, some of my other influences were also from the UK, which is the group Yes, which is a progressive rock band from the
Mm-hmm.
70s. And my favorite was a group, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, a keyboard player named Keith Emerson, who became probably my biggest inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started with the Beatles, got into all kinds of Chicago, Three Dog Night, and then I got into progressive rock music, and then it was Genesis and Yes and Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and a group called Gentle Giant. So these all they all played a big part in inspiring me for the future.
That's so cool. I love that. I love that. And I really hope you do get to see some Beatles stuff when you come over here for sure. That'll be really good for you. Now, a lot of people probably don't know this, but Vince, Vince actually did submit a song for Transformers: The Revenge of the Fallen called Bound and Gagged. Now, this obviously didn't make it into the film, but I want to know, how did you get involved with making this song and submitting it? And Michael Bay, obviously, was he a fan of it?
Well, I'll tell
What's the
you,
story?
I had a manager at the time, same manager I had for Rocky Four,
Mm-hmm.
and we kept in touch with each other over the years. And when the first live action Transformers movie was in production, I thought, well, I hope I'm going to be considered for something for this movie. I kind of assumed that they were going to call me for something. They did not do that. And I understand why, because everything in the music business and the industry is uh, about connections. And Michael Bay had a connection to Steve Jablonsky. Steve Jablonsky ended up composing
Yes.
the music. He had worked with Michael Bay on a movie called The Island prior to that. And Michael Bay
Mm-hmm.
promised Steve the next action movie he was due, he would get him to score it. And it just happened to be Transformers.
Yeah.
So, and then I found out and we read that Michael Bay wanted to divorce this movie completely from the animated movie, wanted no
Mm-hmm.
elements from that. But I thought, well, okay, I understand that, but maybe I can get a song in there. So I wrote the song with my friend Rick Livingstone, and Rick wrote the words, and it was perfect. I really feel it should have been in one of the movies. Uh, and we got all the way up, my manager, Robin, got all the way up to Michael Bay's assistant. And believe me, that was a job in itself, going through all the channels just to get to her. And she said, "Thank you for the submission. I'm going to play it for him." He listened to it. From what I heard, he said, "Well, we have all the material that we need." He thanked me for submitting it, and that was the end of it. But I'm surprised that you knew about that. That I'm really proud of that song.
As I say, I do my homework. I do my homework, and you can listen to it. It is on YouTube, so you can listen to it,
Yes.
which is really
Yeah.
cool. I'll give that a listen after we're finished recording, because I've never heard it myself before.
Great. Oh, you haven't heard of it?
No, I haven't. I just know of it. As I said, I look at all these wiki pages, and obviously, of course, on the Transformers wiki, it said about Bound and Gagged. So I was like, that's something to talk about.
Well, I hope you like it.
I'm sure I will. Anything produced by you is literally like touching, everything you touch just turns into gold.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
You're welcome. Now, The video games, of course, you officially did come back for Transformers Devastation and Angry Birds Transformers. Which one came first? I think Angry Birds. I
Yeah,
had it on my phone briefly.
Transformers was the first one.
I see. Ah, yes, because Angry Birds. Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah, because it was a year before Devastation. So, what was it like to return to the franchise all of these years later to do some fresh
It
new music?
fantastic. It was fantastic. The music director of Rovio was a fan of my music for Transformers, and he said, "Listen, we want music like that, more contemporary, obviously, because it's 2000. I think it was 2011 that came out,
Yeah.
and but keep that the style that you wrote in for the original movie. Keep that sound. I want that sound." Again, my partner Kenny Meredith and I wrote the music for all the music for this video game, and it was like an amazing experience. One piece after another was approved. There was no like, can you change this to that? Can you do this? I think there might have been one song that he asked for a different drum sound or something, but for the most part, it was like he let us play in the playground, and he loved just
I
about
love
everything
that
we
saying.
did. Yeah. So yeah, we had a great time. And then I don't know, what does it have in your records? What year Devastation came out? I can't remember.
2015.
15. Okay, so 4 years after. Um, and that was trying to think how Rovio was. I don't think Rovio was involved in that.
It
I'm
says it
sorry.
was Platinum Games who developed it.
Yeah. And those guys, I love them. And
Hmm.
same thing. It was like, just do your thing, guys. We didn't score the whole video game. I can't remember. You probably can see it in your records. I don't know who the other composer was.
I have them right here for you.
Okay.
Um, there is Satoshi Igarashi. If I do
Ah,
pronounce his names wrong, I apologize. Tetsuya Shibata, Jun Okubo, you, and of course Kenny
right.
Meredith. Mhm.
So yeah, I think we had maybe 20 minutes of music on the score. Um,
Yeah, but that's so
and
cool. I love that.
it was great. It was great. I'm proud of that music as well.
Well, I've actually not played the game in a good few months, so I'm gonna have to pull out the game and play on my Xbox for sure. I have an Xbox Series X in the corner of my room, and
Great.
I had it for the Xbox 360, and then of course when I upgraded, obviously the game's not for some reason. There's some Xbox 360 games that aren't compatible with Xbox Series X or Xbox One, so then I was like, oh, I have to bloody get a Xbox One copy of Transformers Devastation. But it was a good choice, and I've not played it in a while. I need to play it again. I know I only remember this one glitch where Grimlock was just constantly like running into it. He was inside of the building, he was there, but he was stationary, but he was like running on the spot towards the building. Um, and then he stands there and he's like, "Oh yeah, me, Grimlock, watch for Decepticons," while he's facing a wall. I'm
Right.
like, dude, what are you doing?
Well, let me insert something here. I'll tell you a big secret.
Okay.
Kenny and I have never watched any of these games. In fact, the last time that we watched a video game was back in the day of Pac-Man and all that stuff.
Wow.
We're not even familiar with, we haven't seen the games, have no idea you have more of an idea what it's about than I do. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And honestly, it's a really good game, and of course they got the original voice actors back, so it's a beautiful tribute to the franchise as a whole,
Right.
which is what I love to see. Essentially, I do apologize. I swear I sent the video to That's so. Oh, no, it's coming up. I was gonna say. I said to myself, I swear I sent a video of it to Greg Berger, and I was like, two video. I was like, they'll just keep loading. Anyways,
Yeah.
right. Let's quickly talk about the Whiskey Go-Go show. Now, fill me in. I don't know what went down that night, and I kind of wish. No, I do wish I was there now. What happened? I want to know. Of course, Whiskey Go Go is a venue in LA, and you perform there with Stan. And did you do just Transformers, or did you do songs from other franchises as well?
Other franchise, we did Rocky Four, we did Far From Over, Staying Alive. We did
Mm-hmm.
music for video games, Angry Birds Transformers specifically. We did a medley of the highlights of that score.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we did some songs. We did Hearts on Fire, which is from Rocky Four.
Mm-hmm.
we did Dare, of course, from the movie. Stan actually, it was both of us. I came on first, and Stan came on, and Stan called me up to do Dare. I didn't do it with my own band, but I did it with Stan's band, and it
Hmm.
was a lot of fun. So, as I told you earlier, my band and I had played at the Whiskey A Go Go in 2018,
Yeah.
and it it was a great experience, and we got a lot of fans from Transformers that attended that concert. But the concert that we just did happened to be on the weekend of a convention in Burbank, a Transformers.
Yeah.
Perfect. So we had a packed house, and the Transformers fans were just so enthusiastic. It was even better than in 2018. The show that we did was almost a carbon copy. I can't even remember what was different about it. I will send you a link in case you haven't seen it. I will send you a link to the 2018 show and
Hmm.
see what we did. And what you see there will be pretty much what we did in this recent show.
Great.
Uh,
I look forward to receiving it.
Same band. Stan was not at the 2018 concert. It was just my band and I.
I
And
see.
we actually opened up that show with another band that I was a part of called Saga Star, two words. And oddly enough, the singer that sang on Bound and Gagged, Rick
Hmm.
Living, was the lead singer of Saga Star. And this was since since I knew that I was going to be performing at the Whiskey. Whiskey A Go Go is a famous venue. I mean,
Yes.
everybody who's anybody, Rolling Stones. I don't think the Beatles ever played there, but all the big bands played there. And amazing facility, amazing. It only holds 500 people, but it has a great vibe to it from the history. Trying to think what I was getting to on that. Okay, it was the debut of Saga Star. At that night that we played, I decided to
Hmm.
have two sets. The first set was going to be the debut of our band, Saga Star.
Hmm.
And the second set was me playing all the stuff from the movies and the video games. So it was a magical night. And I will send you some links. You can see it firsthand.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, I thought we would end off our interview. We've only got 8 minutes remaining. Ooh, Zoom is lurking on us. So I thought we could squeeze in some fan questions if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
Submitted courtesy of the TF Nation. People go into TF Nation Facebook group. Aside from two of the questions, shout out to One Sonic Cool who asked a question about how did you like doing the music for Angry Birds Transformers, which we did discuss. So you got your answer to that. But first of all, I want to show you this funny thing real quick. There's Grimlock just running on the spot. I had to turn around and I had to see with my own eyes
Oh my God.
what's going on. Why is he running on the spot? And then obviously I complete the level, like shoot the bad guys and stuff like that. Got that done. And then I come back around the corner. He's still there, but then he's like, "Oh, I'll watch for Decepticons," while looking right into a wall. And I'm thinking, I mean,
That's really funny.
they call you a bozo? I don't know. I don't know.
That's funny.
Fun questions.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sorry, did I'm so sorry. I think I interrupted you. I'm so sorry.
I didn't
Did
hear a
I
question.
did I interrupt you?
No, no, no.
Oh,
I was
phew, okay.
waiting for the next question.
Okay, okay. Gator Freaks would like to know what was it like scoring the scene in which Optimus Prime initially died for real in the G1 movie?
Hmm. It's funny when I play that in concert.
Mhm.
I'll tell you a short story. My wife has nothing to do, knows nothing about Transformers. Okay, she was at the concert and she said I was amazed to look around at the audience and see how many people were crying when you played that, and I realized these fans this scene really affected them. Um, for me, because I didn't know the characters, all I was doing was writing a sad song. That's the way I was
Yeah,
looking at it.
yeah,
And it ended up being, an important part of the score for the fans. And so at every time I perform, I have to play Death of Optimus Prime. And
that's
I love the reaction. I love the emotional reaction from the fans.
definitely, yeah. Very strong, very, very strong. Um, Raymond T. Franzman, one of my closest friends, wants to know what artists have been your influences in your work, both in the past and perhaps more recently. Who would you recommend to listen to for those of us who love your work?
Bands that I mentioned earlier, two bands from the UK. Yes is one of them, and
Mm-hmm.
they're still together. They write great music. They release great music. Very talented. They were a heavy influence, but the biggest influence was a group called Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And it's funny, if you go back and listen to some of their music, you might say, well, what's the connection? And there is a big connection. In fact, I was able to meet my hero. I was able to meet Keith Emerson. I made a tape, and on that tape, I put some Rocky Four material and some Transformers material. And I wrote a letter to Keith and saying, if it hadn't been for you, the music to both of these movies would have been completely different. He was a major inspiration. There's a group called Emerson, Lake and Powell, which has a different drummer. Emerson, Lake and Palmer had Carl Palmer as a drummer. Emerson, Lake and Powell had a drummer named Cozy Powell.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back and listen to an album called The Score, that was Emerson, Lake and Powell, hopefully you'll hear a big connection. That was a major influence for me for Rocky Four. But say those two groups, and then as far as recently, I mean, the composers that I love, Hans Zimmer, of course, I love. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
a composer named John Powell, I love. Um, Thomas Newman, who writes some of the best dramatic music for films, I love. Uh, Jerry Goldsmith and John Williams from the old days, amazing. So they're like my major influences for current music. Yeah. So that's about it.
Great, great.
Yeah.
Gareth H. Green asks, as a kid with a Walkman when listening to the soundtrack, I even had to fast forward through the Death of Optimus Prime sound score to avoid the trauma from the film at that point. Did you realize at that stage how far the soundtrack would carry the film's emotions?
No, not at all. And again, I did that movie in 1986, 1885. It came out in 86.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I had no idea once it came out, it didn't do too well in the theaters. I think it was in for a week or two, and that was it.
Yeah.
And as I said earlier, I didn't forget about it, but it kind of drifted into the uh, the crowd of other projects that I was doing at the time.
Yeah.
So I didn't forget about it, but I didn't think about the impact. I never gave a second thought to the impact it might have until 1996 when I was approached
Yeah.
with Stan Bush to attend the first convention, the BotCon convention in Rochester, New York. That was when I realized how big this movie had become, how iconic it had become, and how many fans it attracted, and our music had attracted. Quite a. It was the music was a big part of the of the movie to the fans, and
Yeah.
I was very appreciative of that. And I found that out in 1997 and at the convention. And I was really, Stan and I were both blown away with how much impact our music had.
Jermaine Ivy wants to know, were you surprised by how well your early soundtrack work translated from regular films to an animated movie about robots? It must have been hard to picture how the emotional elements of your music would come across in this different setting.
Totally different. In fact, I wondered when the producers approached me about Transformers, I wondered what Rocky Four at the time. Rocky Four seemed like a whole different animal than Transformers, and I was wondering what connection did they hear? Why did they love the music that I did for Rocky Four for that style for this completely different movie? But like you said earlier, it's the themes are similar. Heroic, good versus bad, good versus evil, the whole thing. And
Yeah.
and as I went and as I progressed with the score to Transformers, I realized that there is a connection. And yeah, it was again, it was the challenge of the storyboards that really got me. And I didn't have a picture to look at to write to. So that was big. That was a big difference from going from Rocky Four and staying alive to Transformers. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, yeah, I think you did, definitely. Sammy Sadek wants to know, as a composer and musician whose work has left such a huge influence on so many people that heard it, how would you like your legacy to be remembered?
Hmm. Well, I think, I fell into this with Staying Alive and Rocky Four and Transformers. Accidentally fell into this heroic theme. I would never have imagined myself writing heroic music early on. So I would like to be remembered, number one, as somebody that held to his musical beliefs. This is a hard question to answer. Somebody that remains steadfast to the style of music. The thing I tell young composers is there's so many composers out there, and a lot of them follow trends instead of trying to set trends. And you hear this in scores all over the place. One movie score sounds like the other. Hans Zimmer, one score sometimes sounds like the same as another. But now he's developed a sound that I can recognize, and I
Mhm.
tell young composers, you know, when you're writing music, try to be different. And I know that sounds easy, and it's not. Just try to come up with your own signature. So I would like to be thought of as somebody that came up with his own signature sound and own signature writing style.
Good answer. Good answer. I love that. And I would want to be remembered the same way as well for, the signature of everything, I think everyone should be really
Yeah,
remembered for their
yeah.
signature. And finally, Neil Temple wants to know, how does it feel knowing that people are still working out to your iconic music 40 years later? I think he's referring to the Rocky Four training
It
montage music.
it boggles my mind to this day. Honest to God, people come up to me and say that they train to it and they run to it. And I know it's on playlists in several places around the world, training places.
Yeah,
Uh, and yeah, I can't tell you how surprised and shocked I am just to this day that it's lasted as long as it has. Uh, but I'm certainly glad that it has. It's gained more longevity and endurance than I ever thought it would, and I feel very blessed by that.
I'm glad. I'm very, very glad about that. Wow. Vince, what can I say? You've been an absolute delight. Thank you so much for coming on my show today. You were wow. I have so much respect for you and just the amount of stuff that we've spoken about and the stories you've had to tell are just so cool. Now, this is your time to promote anything you want to. Is there anything you would like to promote at the moment
A-
that you're doing any
Absolutely.
shows? You doing what are you up to?
A few years ago, I appeared in Valencia, Spain,
Oh, okay.
and with an orchestra and a choir and a rock band, I performed two medleys. One that is a Rocky Four medley, and the other is a Transformers medley.
Uh-huh.
And it was a dream come true for me because hearing an orchestra play this music with me is what brought tears to my eyes the first time we had a rehearsal. And
Oh.
anyway, there's going to be a recording of this. A recording was made. It's going to be released, and I think it's going to be this year, later this year. So keep checking on my Facebook page for information about that. But it was sensational. It was an amazing experience. Also, there's a band I'm in called Cannonballs, and our first record came out a few years ago. It was called Eight Balls Too Many. The
Mhm.
follow-up is going to be called Cannonballs Reloaded. And it's sort of the music is sort of like Toto, if you know anything about that band. The music
Yeah, yeah.
is like that. It's similar to that, for lack of a better description. And that record should be out this year. Another band that I'm in called Saga Star.
Well, you're in a
Uh,
lot of bands, aren't you?
yeah,
Multi-talented.
I love it. I love original bands. I love
Yeah.
composing music for films too, but my heart lies with original bands and writing the kind of music that I relate to, you know. So Saga Star should be out. We recorded long ago. We recorded 2 albums worth of material,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm hoping to get that out later this year or early to 2027.
Mm-hmm.
And the big project that if somebody were to ask me, Vince, what piece of music are you the most proud of in your career? It's something that hasn't come out yet, and it's called Figurehead. Figurehead is an hour-long piece, progressive rock piece.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I wrote the music, and a very good friend of mine named Doan Perry, who played drums with Jethro Tull for over 30 years, wrote the words. And honest to God, I think a book is going to be written about just the making of this song and this album because it's been a journey and some of it not very pleasant, but it's going to come out. We're very determined. It's going to come out 2027, one way or the other. It's called Figurehead, as I mentioned. Um, and those are the things that come to mind, the most right now to promote. But thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that.
You're welcome. I always let my guests do, promote whatever they want. It's their little corner. If they want to, show something to the world, go for it. At least my viewers will check out your content. Of course, you mentioned Facebook. You're on Instagram as well and Twitter. You don't have a website, right?
I don't. No,
Okay,
that's correct.
all right, that's fine. I'll link those in the description and everything else. And if you are in the UK and want to meet Vince DiCola in person, then make sure to book tickets for TF Nation this July. He is performing an exclusive set during the late night club con, well, after the club con, evening entertainment on the Saturday. It's his first UK performance and appearance, so that should be very exciting. I'm very much looking forward to it because I've got tickets and it is going to be a doozy. Trust me. Well, Vince, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. To you at home, thank you ever so much for watching this episode of In Conversation with ATF featuring the lovely Vince DiCola. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I loved recording it and doing it. It's so cool, and with your support, I can get amazing people like Vince on my show, and it's just so awesome, and I love it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Go check out Vince and go listen to his music and go meet him in person if you're based in the UK. If it the Hilton Metropole Birmingham, that's where TF Nation is. Awesome. Well, with that, I'm going to sign off here. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you very soon. From me and Vince. Cheerio. Bye, everyone. And cut.